If you care to click on the link provided below the video, you will be able to access these cameras live. This is the crow's eye view from above the scene of the crime. To the south, you can see the crowd of addicts in front of the Carnegie Center, monitored constantly by the traffic cams. The Vancouver cops and city officials will deny that these events I will describe ever happened. Because the cameras are located above the scene of the crime, there is no photographic evidence. You decide. Murder by Crows by Klaus Kaczor. The hurt half-light of a Vancouver East Side early evening brought out those whose main occupation was drug dealing. The usual miscreant derelict crowd aimlessly jostled and hustled. Their pain into the sidewalks oozed like blood after being muscled. All the loud barkers herded their sad, shapely fold, seeing to it that the meek were doing as they were told. Pain and Wastings, as the intersection by its occupants was called, held the misery of drug addiction which most people appalled. Faces, some of which had reveled in beauty during their brief blush of youth, now destroyed by their own skin which had made them prey to life's vicious truth. Those whose own uncomfortable visage had been in mirrors always scorned would soon be at ease when happiness was in their fresh drug supply reformed. All were for arriving meds hungry, waiting patiently, eyes darting, searching for their deliverer to appear, the crowd ready for his parting. There! Over there! It was their main man, Dan, who ran. All eyes were recording the action, the poor man's handy-cam. The events which unfurled were not easily parsed from an altered state. In fact, many failed to understand that it was real until it was much too late. It was the angel's man, Dan, who ran. This was not a common or usual sight. The arrogant dope dipper, whose counts got slimmer, usually stood to fight. The action was quick, but no man or woman was behind this trick. Several black crows darted at his tattooed neck, which was thick. At least 3 angry crows dove at this large thug from behind, while one attacked his eyes from the front, making him blind. The unusual action happened right at the change of the traffic light. Drivers were speeding, wishing to be home for their supper that night. Dan was struggling on the northeast corner, heading to cross south, when another crow coming from nowhere struck to claw at his mouth. It was apparent to all in the anxious, milling, herding crowd who did see. I'm talking of those standing in front of the center called the Carnegie, that crack dealer Dan was not winning the escalating avian battle, when a van with Chinese markings did into the intersection rattle. It was at this moment that another couple of attacking crows delivered from behind the coup de grace with fateful blows, and with perfect timing Dan, blinded, was driven 2 steps forward. Charged with super reactions, all crows lifted as one upward. They parted safely in the blink of an eye from the deadly scene, before anyone heard the truck brakes belatedly applied scream. The thoughts which raced through the minds of most onlookers, those witnessing the event, addicts, pimps, bugs, thugs, and hookers, were not on compassion, rather on Dan's supply of crack cocaine base. Who would claim the dead man's stash, and who would be outpaced? That Dipper Dan's head was well stove in was certain. There was no doubt that for him it was the final curtain. Before all was still and quiet, the driver not fully stopped, his lack of teamster's skill having yet another derelict dropped. The crows came back to the scene and began to swarm Dan's still twitching body. No one moved. Understanding seeped in. These bandits were more than naughty. All the human riffraff stood quiet, transfixed and gawked, as a huge crow strutted on Dan's corpse and squawked. Its pals with their beaks rifled through Dan's pockets, while another crow calmly picked at his eye sockets. Although the waiting, astonished human addicts had seen many ugly sights, amongst them there was a growing consensus that none topped this night's. Within 20 seconds the gang of bandit crows were all done. A big black-winged murdering bro had the cocaine prize won. Quickly looking left and right, a large baggie in his beak, he and his dangerous buddies did calmly skyward streak. Among the standing crowd of shocked onlookers, the silence was deafening. They had witnessed a targeted murder for which there would be no reckoning. The crows were a new breed of addicts on the scene, not at all like them. More resourceful, coordinated, vicious, and untouchable in their mayhem. It was evident to all onlookers that there was a new wrecking crew on the block. Then the silence of sudden death came to an abrupt end in a cacophony of addict talk.